good afternoon from Barcelona Harbor. It's Paul here again, talking about EMDR. And this is a week of looking at the kind of abuse that younger people had endured in their time as growing up. And I think, as I said the other day, I think that, we talk a lot about this generation of Gen Z and some of the younger millennials as having had helicopter parents and being spoiled and not being given enough freedom to to fail and to experiment and to really be adventurous about life. I think that narrative, I don't know if it was ever true, and I'm starting to think that there's a lot of rubbish there because my experience of talking to so many people and working with so many people in EMDR is that a lot of parents, paid lip service to all of this, parenting, this, uh, inclusive parenting. But I am just wondering. I have to say, I'm wondering if this was really true. And so, I talked about physical abuse on Monday. Wednesday was sexual abuse. Today, I want to talk about neglect. And so I think there's a lot of parents out there who are especially Gen X. Gen X was a tough generation. I'm Gen X, and I think that. We just had a lot of bad parenting, and there's a lady called um, um, on Instagram called Slim Sherry, and she has almost 1 million followers, and she's one of the amazing articulate people who just is in her late 40s and who talks about how just all the people who are in their 40s and 50s just we had dreadful parenting because we were basically told to go outside, when you get home from school, don't come back until 10 o'clock, stay out of the house, drink out of the hose. If you cut yourself, don't bleed on the carpet, use a sheet, suck it up. There was no seat belts. Nobody ever used a seat belt, and everybody smoked everywhere and drank when they were pregnant, and all this craziness that is so intolerable now. But yet that's how we were raised, and so I guess it may not be that big of a it may not be that big of a surprise that a lot of these people have parenting skills where, yes, a lot of people said they overcompensated. I just am not so sure that's right. I just don't see that. I think there's been a lot of neglect with younger people, especially if they wanted schools to be doing more and more to take care of their kid, where everybody had to work 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and where this late stage capitalism has just caused this hyperventilation of wealth accumulation and wealth creation that has set bad examples, not to mention the fact that it takes up immense amounts of time. And so a lot of people, when the iPhone came along, it came along at a perfect time because that was the new babysitter. And so if you think that our folks were bad, when my mom went shopping, on Saturday, she just threw me in front of the TV at the TV section of the department store, and she left me there until 10 o'clock, until 1 o'clock. So I just sat on the floor watching the television set in the department store, for 3 hours, and nobody cared, right? And so think about it now. Think about the iPhone use, right? And where the inability or the unwillingness or the trying to get the kids off the phone to participate in the family unit is basically just a non-starter anymore because it's too difficult. Not that different from the way that Gen X was always told, stop watching the TV, you're going to go blind. Stop watching cartoons, stop watching, to turn it off and come have dinner. Well, you just brought the TV into the living room, into the dining room, and people just watched the news and TV in the dining room while we had dinner. And so this was something that it's not, it is different but not that different. And so in my case, I ended up getting like 4 master's degrees and teaching in 11 universities, but I was totally addicted to cartoons and stupid idiotic TV all the time. And so was that a form of neglect? You bet it was, right? Uh, did I get a chance to talk to my parents at night when they came home from work? No, I did not. My dad was always drinking anyway, and my mom was busy trying to raise 10 kids. And so there was never an expectation that I should get parenting from two parents who were running around like headless chickens and who were, very damaged by war. And so, yes, that is a form of neglect, right? And so now what we have is a lot of kids who end up becoming, 16, 18, 20, even in people in their late 20s who are have a very difficult time with relationships because they become so attuned um, to whatever Instagram and TikTok and all these other Facebook and all these other video games and so forth, and online forms of entertainment. And so is this a form of neglect by parents? Yes, you bet. Is this also a form of neglect by schools to allow these phones into classrooms? Yes, you bet. Should these cell phones be banned during school hours? Yeah, you bet. Because that is a way that the state and administrative functions can at least stop people, can get boys and girls to to decompress, to detox from phones, from cell phones, right? And so I think that we don't need to look that much further than the cell phone to see where there is a great deal of parental neglect. All of us go into restaurants all the time, and we see families sitting around having dinner at a restaurant, and every one of them is on their cell phone, and nobody's talking a bit. And this, creates a lot of social anxiety where young men, especially, I deal with a lot of men who are trying to understand their relationship to women, and they have a great difficulty because they have had access to too much porn on the cell phone. They have they are very uncomfortable approaching women, or they idolize women. They have a sort of a prima donna prostitute syndrome where the woman that they want to approach is a prima donna, but they're looking at porn that is, as it's degrading, it's humiliating, it's offensive, it's aggressive, right? It's conquest, right? And by the way, gay porn is even worse, right? So a lot of gay men go into their adult years trying to understand relationships when the pornography is available 24/7 right in front of you. And so there was a crying need for all of us to try to to understand ourselves in better ways. Again, through EMDR, it can be an appropriate, really good way to look at how we can understand those early years, especially, what was going on in the early years when boys or girls were looking at porn, and what was going on in their thinking process, what was going on about what the way they came to feel about sex. Is it something that is dirty or degrading or humiliating or aggressive, and how does it make them be as a person? And I think as people come into adulthood, I think there is a generational, I'm going to say this after dealing with so many men in their 20s and 30s right now. I think there is a generational readiness. I'm going to say there's a general readiness to understand that a profound sense of neglect of emotional and psychological maturity by way of integrating with proper dating or proper relationships with women and men is coming to a head now. And I think a lot of men are really ready, willing, and able to recalibrate and re-understand and reprocess their sense of what they believe about themselves and what is possible when and how and why they will approach women. And I think that everybody is got their heels up, everybody's got their hackles up. Women are going through the peak of the Me Too phenomenon, which is way overdue and is a response to the way that many boomers and Gen X behaved in terrible ways, especially as we can see in the Hollywood, in front of our face, in Hollywood and in the recording industry. And going forward, Um, you know, I think that men in their 20s and 30s who are trying to understand their relationships with women, they are, and this is what I think the 2024 election was about. You know, what is the way that masculine man, what is the way that a truly masculine man can express himself, and can how men can express a natural male inclination in relationships while being respectful and engendering uh, long-term trust with women. And on the other side of that, where are we with women learning to trust men, where they can communicate properly without coming across as offensive or too standoffish, right? And so I think we are getting to the point of a new understanding. I think this is really the lightning rod of the 2024 election. Was, what is it? How is the alpha male going to respond and to morph and to be masculine, and to be a masculine lover, and to be a masculine protector, and to be a masculine friend to a woman in conditions that are safe and respectful, and in ways that women can understand are safe and respectful. And this just requires, EMDR is a really great way to alter those beliefs about what's going on. And what I'm seeing very clearly now, I'm seeing it with a lot of men that I'm working with in their 20s and 30s, even in their 40s, where I think that we are seeing an evolution where there is a readiness to drop that sense of these false beliefs about seeing the world as polar opposites, as something that is a world of porn, or something that is either a woman that is unapproachable, that I can't talk to her, she's too perfect, she's never going to accept me, she's never going to like me. And so I think that both men in their own world need to find a balance. Women need to find a balance, and the relationships need to find more balance as we go forward, because we're moving out of an extreme where men had so much neglect by their parents, who did not get them off their phones and get them into having grown-up adult discussions about how to date, how to come across, how to be respectful, how to understand sex, right? Those conversations weren't happening with so-called helicopter parents. And women also, especially younger women, who do not have to live with this don't have to see every man as a threat, or every relationship as a potential nightmare, even though so much of that was happening in the past, right? And so I have worked with almost every one of the men I have worked with. They're entirely respectful. They're entirely appropriate, and they are legitimately and absolutely trying to find a path to understanding their relationships with women better. That is a fact that I can see with my own eyes, and I can see it in the way that the EMDR develops. And so we all need to get on a better page here in terms of where we're going with these relationships with men and women. So that's it for this week. I am going to also leave. I've left on my Instagram and TikTok and Meta feed some testimonial feedback from recent client activity that has been given over to me anonymously. So I've left that there for you to consider. And also, please do get a hold of me if you need to get a hold of my book, my audiobook, or else the PowerPoint on how and why EMDR works. So have a great week, and see you next week. And we are designed to heal. I promise you, we are designed to heal. Have a good day.